So just hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Let's just slowly go down, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then hollowing up. Pull the head towards the hips, hips towards the head, hollow through as much as we can, and then coming down, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And just go for 10 reps, nice and smooth through there. Just trying to get a little bit more each time, so a little bit more at the bottom, and then a little bit more as you come back through. So really hollow up as much as you can, push through the shoulder blades as much as you can there. Squeezing the shoulder blades back, pushing back through. Just gripping in with the hands as well. A little bit of movement side to side at the bottom, and then hollowing back up. So belly button pulled in. And nice and gently coming back through. Just really trying to arch the back as much as possible in that bottom position. And then hollowing back up. And coming back down, squeeze shoulder blades back. And then hollowing back up. And then from there, we're just going to sit back onto the feet. So we're not moving the hands at all. Just hollow through. And then hollowing all the way up through. Just try and stay in as hollow position as possible. And then tipping forwards. You might actually want to move the hands forwards a touch just for this one. And then dropping down into an upward dog. So squeeze the glutes, lift the chest, pull the shoulder blades back, and then reverse that. So start by hollowing through the shoulders, hollow through the abs and spine, and then gently pushing back again. And just getting a nice reach through the shoulders. So we're staying nice and active, trying to get a little bit of external rotation there. And same thing, hollowing up through, pull the belly button in, squeeze the glutes, drop the hips down, lift the chest up and pull the shoulder blades back. Let's make sure we're squeezing the glutes there, and then let's look over left shoulder, look over right shoulder, look over left shoulder, look over right shoulder, and then same thing, hollow through the shoulder, so push through as much as we can, hollow through the spine and abs, and then gently sitting back into that one. And same thing, let's try and get that external rotation, really press the hands into the floor. So you might feel a little bit of a stretch into the lats there. And then just one more time through, press the hands in, hollow through the shoulders, hollow through the spine, squeeze the glutes, drop the hips down, lift the chest up, and squeeze the shoulder blades back. And then just come back into our cat camel position. Let's just get a little bit of movement into the shoulder blades as well. So just bring the hands back so the hands are under shoulders, gripping with the hands, arms stay nice and straight, and just squeeze shoulder blades together. So imagine you've got a pound coin between your shoulder blades, and then try and push the chest away from the floor and just hollow through as much as you can. So squeeze back, squeeze shoulder blades back, and then hollow through as much as you can. And just go for 10 reps or so there, just nice and smooth, up and down through. Just really squeeze shoulder blades together in that bottom position as much as we can, and then hollowing back up. And then from there, keeping the shoulder blades squeezed back. So imagine you've got that pound coin still stuck between your shoulder blades. Let's try and pull it up towards the ears and then back down towards the hips. So we're just trying to move the shoulder blades up and back down, but keep them squeezed back the whole time. Just keeping the arms nice and straight, up towards the ears, really shrug up, and then back down, squeeze shoulder blades together, up towards the ears, and come back down. And then if we can, it's a little bit harder, try and go through some nice big circles. So we're just going to add that in, but we're going to push through, up towards the ears, squeeze back, come back down, and come back through. And then from there, just walk the hands forwards, touch again, and just sit back onto the hips again. Just have that nice stretch through the lats. Just take a nice deep breath in this position. And breathe out as well. And then from there, as much as we can, we're going to stay as low as possible. So drop the elbows to the floor, try and keep the forearms as parallel as possible, but don't worry if the elbows come out a little bit. The nose, chin, chest to the floor. And as we come through there, we're just going to lift the elbows off and carry on sliding through, and then come up into our upward dog again. And then gently dropping back down, so chest to the floor. Once the chest's on the floor, we want to start to stick the bum up in the air and then start to slide back. So you just want to get as much extension in the spine as possible. Keep sliding back, keep pushing back until we get back to there. And again, pressing the hands into the floor. Just go through again, drop the elbows to the floor, nose, chin, chest as close to the floor as you can. Elbows start to come off as you go through, and then coming up into our upward dog, and then coming back down, chest to the floor, sliding back. And let's just go one more like that. Just try and get as much extension through the upper back as we can as we slide through. Lift up, and then coming back, and slide back. Okay, and then we're just going to come into our X slides, the fave. So knee, go right knee up to the outside of the right hand, drop the back hip into the floor. So just squeeze the quad, press the foot into the floor, and squeeze the glute there, and just rotate over that front leg. And then keeping the hands where they are, push that leg back and across here. So we're really reaching with this front hand, reaching with that right hand. So you get a nice stretch into the lats on the right and glutes on the left. And then sliding back up. Just drop the hips in and rotate over that front leg, and then pushing back and across. Really reaching with that right hand, and then sliding back up on that side for one more. Just last one this side. Push right back, and then up on the other side. So left knee up to the outside of the left hand. Drop that left hip into the floor. Really press this foot in, and then pushing back and across. Really reaching with that left hand, dropping into the right glute, and then sliding back up. Press that hip into the floor, rotate over the front leg, and then push back and across. Really reaching with that left hand. And then sliding back up. Last one. Drop that back hip in, and then push back and across. Okay. Everyone's spine's starting to feel a little bit looser?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. From there, let's come through into our hip 90-90s. Okay, so we'll get a little bit more into the hips now. So let's rotate ourselves around over this front leg. Just lifting the chest and dropping down over. So we're just going to go for 5 breaths. What I want you to focus on is not letting yourself round through the lower back. I want you to try and keep flattening the back, lift the chest, and just send the chest as far forwards as you can. So imagine you're shooting a laser beam out the middle of your chest. Try and shoot it forwards rather than down towards the ground, okay? I want you to obliterate whatever's in front of you, not your own leg. And just take some nice deep breaths. Just keep gently dropping down there. Keep the hands on the floor is absolutely fine. Okay, and then press the front leg in and come up, and let's just hold for 5 seconds in that position. So if you can, try and stay nice and forwards on that front leg. And then from there, we're going to start to rotate by this back leg. So we're going to start to rotate around and coming back to the other side. And exactly the same thing. We're going to give 5 breaths. Try and rotate yourself around over that front leg as much as you can. And just think about that laser beam coming out the middle of your chest. Just gently dropping forwards. Nice deep breaths. Just keep leaning forwards, keep that back nice and flat. Every time you breathe in, lift the chest. Every time you breathe out, try and sink a little bit deeper. And then just press that front leg into the floor, coming up to the top, and then again, try and hold there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And gently rotating back around to the other side. And this time we're going to go for 5 pulses. So same thing, try and lift the chest, drop forwards, and we're just going to drop all the way down as far as we can. Press that leg in and come back up. And if you can in that top position, take the hands off. You can try and keep them off as you go down as well. It's just a little bit harder. It's a little bit easier to kind of keep that nice square position if you just use the fingers to keep yourself nice and square there. Press the front leg in to come back up. And just 5 reps like that. And then from there, again, just hold 5 in this top position. Try and stay nice and upright, hips facing forwards. And then start to rotate from that back leg to come back around to the other side. And exactly the same thing here. 5 reps coming over, keep the chest nice and lifted. Drive the weight forwards over the front leg and then lifting back up. And again, if you can take the hands off at the top or as you come back up, then do that. This side for me is a little bit tighter, so I'm just going to keep my outside hand on a little bit just to maintain that position. Just lowering down nicely. And then that top position again, let's just try and hold for 5 seconds as upright as possible there. And rotating back to the other side. And same thing again, let's just go fingertips to the floor here. And I just want you to go for 5 lifts of that knee, but by externally rotating the hip. So we're keeping the hip around as much as you can. You might want to put your hand onto your hip there to try and keep that forwards. And then we're just literally lifting through there. So you should just feel a glute squeeze. That's a really nice way to make sure you're isolating that glute rather than it coming from just a general movement of that hip.
This one.
Okay, and then fingertips to the floor and just lift the whole back leg off the floor if you can. Just try and stay nice and upright and just hold for 3, 2, 1. And rotating back around. So rotate this leg, rotate the other leg in. Keep the chest lifted. And same thing again here. Just put this hand onto this hip, try and pull that hip round as much as you can, and then just lift the knee by externally rotating through that glute. This side is much harder. And then again, just lifting the back leg off for 5 seconds. Just try and stay as upright as you can. Lift the back leg off and hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just come into a middle position, squeezing the shoulder blades back. And let's just go for 10 internal and external rotations on the one side, and then 10 on the other. Just drop that knee right in, open right out. Try and keep your bum flat on the floor, keep the chest lifted. And then dropping in on the other side and opening right out there. Drop in and open out. And then let's just come back down to the one side. And what I want to try and do is lift this back leg off the floor. We're going to pull it in, externally rotate it. So bring the feet in together, and then we're going to try and transition the weight and rotate this other leg into internal rotation there, and then come back out. So try and bring that foot into as much external rotation as you can, and then swapping sides. Yeah, so we're coming back into our 90-90 position each time. And we're just going to go for a few transitions each side. Try not to kick each other.
There. In front, okay, square.
So we lift the leg and then we drop the foot out and the knee in towards the floor there, and then lift and rotate back the other way.
Big down to 90.
Yeah.
It's 45.
No, that's 90.
So it doesn't matter if you're not quite at 90, if your feet are a little bit closer together, that's
no
fine.
problem.
Yeah, don't worry, no one's measuring the angles on this.
Yeah.
Get your protractor out.
Mark is.
Yeah.
75 degrees. That
Yeah. No, it's fine. Just try and work through as much range as you can there. And then just bring both legs into a cross-legged position. And we're just going to go for 5 breaths here. So what I want you to try and do is just drop forwards as much as you can. Just make sure your knees are in a comfortable position. I might swap them over actually. And just dropping forward. Should feel a little bit of a stretch into the outside of the hips here. Imagine being back in school assembly right now.
Yeah.
What, back at school?
Yeah. Where are the bean bags?
Yeah. Oh, we never had bean bags. It was always just sat cross-legged on the floor.
Yes. I remember.
Okay, and then just come out of there and let's go into our downward dog.
Did you have to be a tree?
Tree.
Yeah.
Remember?
Just,
Music and movement. That was it.
yeah.
Dance. Yes, it was musical movement, wasn't it? Dance.
Music and
Musical
movement.
chairs. And just holding our downward dog for a few breaths. Just try and externally rotate as much as we can, and then push back and lengthen. Stick your bum nice and high in the air. And then step through on the one side. Keep pulling the hips forwards. And let's just drop that front knee out a little bit. And then just going elbow down towards the heel. Just spend a little bit of time there. Just let the foot rock out onto the outside of the foot and then pull that foot back in. And just go 5 like that. So knees dropping right out. Do this way so you can see. So knees dropping right out. And then just try and pull that back in. And we're just staying down. It doesn't matter if the elbow's not quite on the floor. Just open up into that hip and then actually try and pull the knee in as close as you can. And then let's just go into some nice deep rotations there. So keep pulling the hips forwards. Try and get the hips as low as possible. And into some nice rotations there. And then just push back into our downward dog. Switch back around now. And then we'll do that same thing on the other side. So step through on the other side. Pulling the hips forwards. Oh, cramp in my foot. And then push the elbow into that front knee. Just try and drop that out. Pull the hips forwards as much as we can. And then again, elbow down towards the heel. And then just dropping that knee out. Pulling back in. Dropping the knee out. Pulling back in. And then into some nice deep rotations here as well. So again, trying to pull the hips forwards rather than just letting the back round. Try and pull the hips down every time we go down into that. Just get that nice stretch through the hips. And then pushing back into our downward dog again. And then just from there, dropping the knees down to the floor. And what we're going to do is bring the one leg out to the side. So just rotate around so you can see it's just in there. And what I want to do is squeeze the quad here. So squeeze that nice and tight. Try and press that foot into the floor as hard as you can. And keep the back nice and flat. And we're gently just going to rock back into that. But as you rock back, try not to let your hips tuck under. So what we don't want as you go back is for your back to round like that. Just try and keep the back as flat as possible and just sink into that. And as you do that, you should just feel this little bit more of a stretch through the adductor. So we're just going to go for 10 rocks in that position. So rocking back, just try and keep squeezing the quad, keep pressing that foot into the floor. So we're just nice and active in that position. Just rocking back nicely. Okay, and then bring the other knee in and just doing the same thing on the other side. So just press that foot into the floor, rock back, and just coming forwards and backwards through there. Just rocking right back. Keep pressing that foot into the floor. Okay, and then bring that leg in as well. Other one out again. And then this time we're just going to go through a few rotations. So we're going to, so whichever leg is out straight, so left leg's out straight, going to slide the left arm through. Try and drop that shoulder to the floor if you can, and then press the leg into the floor and open up into a nice big stretch there. I'm just going to go for 5 on that side. So we're just getting a bit more of a stretch as we go down into it. Keep the quad nice and tight, press the foot into the floor, and then bring that leg back in and swap into the other side. Again, just go nice and gentle, don't overstretch it. Just try and make it nice and active in that position. Just rotating through. Okay, and then just going to gently bring the legs in, and we're going to push back into our downward dog position again. So bum up nice and high, and let's stick your left leg nice and high up in the air. Just try and reach the toes towards the ceiling, squeeze the glute. Just try and straighten the leg as much as we can, push it as high as possible, and then step that through on the left side. Pull in the hips forwards there, and then push back into the hamstring on that side, and pull back down.
Where's the other leg?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're just going to go for 3 reps there, push back, pull back down, push back, pull back down, and then that leg's just going to shoot back up into the air again.
No, same way.
Same leg.
And then bring that leg back down and swap sides. So just reaching this leg nice and high into the air, lengthen through the body and step that through on the other side. And again, just pull the hips forwards, and then we're pushing back into the hamstring again there, and gripping with the foot and pull back down. And just go for 3 times forwards and backwards through there. It doesn't matter if the leg's not fully straight, just gently pushing back as far as you can, and then gripping the foot in to pull back down. And push back and pull back down, and then just lifting that leg off the floor and pushing that back up into the air again before we swap sides. So we're going to do one more time on the other side again. So left leg now up in the air, other leg, the leg you started on.
Yeah, it's the start, and then it comes all the way back through to the front.
And then stepping through again, and we're just going to go through that same sequence of pushing back into the hamstrings again, okay? Just gripping in with the front foot, push back, pull back down, push back, pull back down, push back, pull back down. And then that front leg, just pushing that back up into the air again. And then bring that back to the floor and swapping sides. So up nice and high. Step through again on that right side, or whichever your other side is. Pushing back into the hamstrings. Pulling back through. Pushing back. Pulling back through. Push back one more time. And then pull back down, and then that right leg just shoots back again, nice and high in the air. Try and get a nice straight line from the fingers all the way through to the toes, and then just bring that back down into our downward dog, and just relax there.